again to Marilyn Hawes, who's in the mood today. In the green room, we've been chatting, and she's got, well, you'll hear as the show goes on. Good morning, Marilyn.
Good morning, Rodney.
So,
Yeah, I know. I don't take prisoners, let's put it that way.
well,
If people get under my skin, they know they've done it.
well, listen, in this instance, which we will talk about, but not this occasion,
No, no, no.
I fully approve of the Boadicea way of approaching things. Yes, cut them off at the knees, and we go. And I tell you what, people are getting really mad on various levels with illegal and legal immigration. We know what's going to happen this weekend. It's the party conference.
Well, it's going to be
It gets through
extraordinary.
to them eventually that number one on people's minds is how our country and indeed our continent, according to Donald Trump, oh, but did he get it right? And actually, we've got a program planned to cover the whole thing in detail, but before a little bit of a promo. It was completely odd. The lifts suddenly were not working in the UN building. If I was about to sabotage somebody, that's the first thing I'd press the off button for. Anyway, he survived that. And then lo and behold, he gets up on the podium and the teleprompter, all his speech did not work. It was dead. So what's going on here? But it backfired big time because instead of 15 minutes, which is max to speak, he spoke for an hour. Unlike the first meeting,
As usual.
as usual, and unlike the first meeting where he was ridiculed during his first term and laughed at and slow hand clapped, they were silent because they realized this guy has got the truth.
Oh, he has. He has.
He filleted them completely.
Absolutely. I mean, I think he gained so many brownie points here in England because he did. I mean, what and I've said for ages, what is the purpose of the UN? They write a naughty letter to someone that's misbehaved, and that's it. What is their purpose? I don't get it. I've never understood it. They don't make any difference. And he
Their
was right to
purpose is
say that.
globalism. It's as simple as that.
Exactly,
And in any
exactly.
way they can do it, they will do it from infecting countries with LGBT who hate LGBT and what they stand for.
Yeah.
All the money they get goes in promoting in Africa mainly and other continents the LGBT lifestyle. And I'll give you two sets of figures and we'll skip on after this. 187 nations represented by the UN, which was founded and existed for a number of years as a brilliant organization before it got the globalists in charge. 187 nations, 23 are completely democratic. That's all. They're decided on what the whole world should live like. What is that about there? And most of them are Muslim.
Well, of course. Of course. But of course they are. But they don't, it just, I put a thing out on X the other day about, there's a lot around at the moment about Sharia law. Is London becoming like it? Yes, it is. Are we becoming like it? Yes, we are. Europe and all the rest of it. And I said, I remember this guy, I think I mentioned it before, 30 years ago when I looked after him in a hospice, and he literally said, oh, our aim as Muslims is to take over the West. And I was absolutely terrified, and I wouldn't do anything with him after that. I wouldn't, because I had a reflexology qualification, and I thought, I don't want to get. He really was frightened me, really, because then, I mean, you're going back 30 years, and it's all come to be, come to pass, hasn't it, as they say. But what Donald Trump said about letting migrants in, you've only got to see the GB News Washington thing where Ben Leo went down to the Mexican border, and the stuff that he's reported back, how people are, it's terrible what's going on down there. And
It's
it's the same
appalling.
here. I mean, how can you send, well, Andrew Pierce was on this morning. How can you send a murderer and a rapist back to their country with £2,000 to spend? And this is what's causing the angst and the anger. It's the unfairness of it. It's the unfairness of it. This, as Andrew Pierce rightly said, and Miriam Cates, whom I absolutely love, as they absolutely said, that there's going to be elderly people this winter that are not going to be putting the heating on, can't afford the food because it's going up so much over here, the cost of living. Yet these people are giving all these handouts. This is what's so unfair. £600 for taxi fares to go to the NHS.
Let's go on to Manston, where the 200 of illegal immigrants are complaining that
Oh
the
dear.
competition, oh yes, is a bit below standard. Well, it wasn't below standard for the RAF fighters
Exactly.
in there that put up with that, but it's not good enough for you. And they've used these lefty lawyers, who have got to be reined in.
But how can they afford them?
Well, we are paying for it. That's how they afford them.
It's just awful. I mean, if they've come from these terrible war-torn countries, they weren't living in luxury anyway. So what are they doing? Complaining about Manston?
Exactly that, and they're getting amounts up to £203,000. Some of them have been paid for complaining with clever lawyers.
No.
It's just unbelievable, but repeatable at the moment. So I hope the Labour Party that's enabled this, have a very good conference this week.
Oh, I think my son, as you know, he's in public affairs. He has to go to it, and then he also has to go to the Tory party one as well. But my golly, I think it's going to be feisty. Because you've got the thing with the aid, haven't you? His chief aid with the £700,000 donation.
It's a mega story and lots
An
more to come.
admin error. You don't make an error on that. He knew that it had to be declared, and it's not like £7 that you say 700,000, and it's all getting extremely close to Starmer, isn't it? And how crooked he is.
Sorry, this may sound very biased and partisan. We're not. We like honesty and truth from
Exactly.
whichever party. But for decades, the Labour Party is saying it's the sleazy Tories.
Yeah.
There's never been as many sleaze occasions that we're experiencing at the moment, and it goes on.
And also today as well on GB News, going on about the migrants. Of course, they were like going back, Andrew Pierce. I like Andrew Pierce, actually. They were going on about the migrants. And of course, they said, because it did start with Tony Blair in 2006. He was the one that started. So the whole thing has emanated from Labour. They can't get away from that. They want to blame the Tories, yeah, and they didn't do a good job. Obviously, they didn't. But I mean, Tony Blair started this whole thing about migration.
He started so many things. He's lit the blue
He's
touch.
awful. One of the most corrupt prime ministers, I think.
Well, it's an unusual time at the moment because we've got the Labour Party looking for a replacement to Angela. There's no replacement to Angela, believe you me. She's you.
Gosh, no, that's very true.
Having said that, there's 6 women. Now, that's all right. I don't mind that. But I tell you what, if there were 6 men and no women, it would be a different story, would it not? So I don't know what the lady's like in being a deputy prime minister, but the 6 women, some wholly unsuitable. I don't know what's happened. It's in disarray, the Labour Party, as are the Tories.
Absolutely.
In many ways. Yeah. And it's playing into the hands of Farage, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, the new hardline immigration minister, in effect, who is a Muslim, okay, and she seems to be making the right noises. She seems to be a toughie. But hang on, is a Muslim dealing with Muslims? Is there going to be some sort of bias here?
Well, there has to be. I'm certain there will be. I mean, she's gone on about, like the £2,000 we're paying people. Oh, it doesn't look good, does it? Well, she said a lot of things that don't look good that have to be stopped. But what has she actually done? She hasn't put any action in at all. I think what is interesting was I was on Twitter and all sorts of things. I put a lot on about all this, and I was going on about why don't they build these Nightingale units like they were, and they were talking about that the other day. I thought, oh, maybe someone heard me because I haven't heard anybody mention it before. To do the processing centres in the Nightingale built, they were built in a week. You could do that easily. But they keep going on about, well, of course, it's the backlog. It's a backlog. Well, if you don't let them in, there won't be a backlog, will there? Get real. But you see, I think it is everywhere because there was a huge queue of migrants trying to get into Crete the other day. I mean, my golly, that's just a small island. I mean, it isn't just us. I mean, there is. I mean, the islands off Italy, it's the same. I mean, but as I said, years ago, I can remember saying to my dad, "We should not open the borders," and I wasn't an experienced. I just thought it makes no sense. You'll be pulling the bath plug out and it will all come cascading through the pipe, and that's exactly what's happening. But you can't, it's the unfairness that is getting to people. It is that unfairness that, how do elderly people try and get their pension? They can't afford a taxi to get to their clinic appointments at the hospital. What do they do? You see them queuing up at bus stops. That's what's enraging people. You've been here, you've paid your taxes, you've got your pension, and you don't get any of these handouts. It's utterly wrong. And that is what is fanning the flames. It is the unfairness of it and the absolute lack of humanity when that chap that got given, what was it, 12 months, he'll be out in 6 and will he be deported? What about the well-being and the anxiety and the mental health of that girl who he touched up, who gave an impact statement in court? And then there's another one. Did you see the other one? He was supposed to have gone into jail, but he didn't turn up because he wanted fish and chips. He went and got, so they
Oh,
postponed the case.
I approve of those priorities, mind you. Fish and chips first.
Oh, well, yeah, but how can he afford them? I mean, fish and chips are really expensive now. It's like he can afford it. But can you imagine if we did that? We were, subpoenaed or something for a court case. Nah, I want to go and get a burger. I missed this one out. Can you imagine? You cannot tell me there's not two-tier sentencing. It's absolutely
Oh, there is,
absurd.
as you well know,
It's
something
dreadful. It's
happening now
dreadful.
with the
And
burning
people,
of the Quran
yeah.
and the guy being attacked by a knife. That's another biggie. We're not going to cover it today, but shortly when more truths come out of that, it is two-tier Britain.
Without a doubt, it is just so transparently, or it couldn't be more clear what's going on. It's just awful, and people really are getting angry, and I don't blame them. I really don't blame them because it's getting so. And this weekend, when they're almost going to be coming in back to back, they already know. What are the French doing, for goodness sake?
Well, they're taking our money and spending it and
Why do we give
doing
them the
it.
money? There's no point in them having it. They're not doing anything with it.
Mr. Macron is very charming, put it that, or is it his wife that's very charming? We won't go into that when we did that last week. Having said that, two-tier ECHR, there's no way that Sir Keir is going to get rid of that because it's his way, his key to getting the country back into Europe. Watch this space, folks.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Liberal Democrats,
Yeah.
they've clearly set out in their conference, are going to go over to Labour. So it's going to be a Lib-Lab agreement again. Then the biggest danger to this country is the fact that if they get in power, Nigel might come number 2, but if they get in power, we will be back in Europe.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree with you. You can see it happening, even, in the little nuances when he speaks and how he is when he goes over there and patting Macron on the back and all of that. I mean, I just don't see how they can justify the French having that money. They don't.
No, they can't.
They don't stop anything. What exactly is it they do? It wouldn't make any difference whether they were on the beaches or not.
Height of hypocrisy, even to the fact of EHCR. Starmer completely won over, will never change. And you can see why it will never change because, of course, the handbook, which is really thick on how to interpret and entirely edited by aforementioned Sir Keir. And what do we expect? That's his mantra. It's globalist mantra. He will never change.
No, he won't.
This book, as I said, is a magnificent volume in exactly how we interpret these ECHR scheme. There are many other countries still obeying inverted commas the ECHR, but they put their own nuances and own country laws in that, so they don't.
But that's what Trump was saying, wasn't he? Trump was saying, don't worry about it. Look after your own country. I mean, what can ECHR possibly do if you went against the handbook? What could they possibly do?
Very little.
Yeah,
All it is a key to get back into Europe. That's why.
I agree. I totally agree with you. I completely agree with you.
Right. Let's mention a couple of things here. If you think Britain's in a mess, it is. So is Spain. So are many other countries. Not to the same extent. But how about this one? It's come about in Spain that smoking bans, like they are throughout the world, largely now in various places, sensitive places, schools, theatres, etc. And I approve absolutely of that, having worked in theatres for
Yeah,
donkeys.
yeah, absolutely.
Come out coughing because
Mm.
of the smoking.
Passive
Well,
smoking.
that was brilliant from our point of view when
Yeah,
they
it was.
stopped that. Now, smoking is really under the cosh in Spain, and vaping, and some patches, would you believe? And they've tightened it up like you would not even think would be possible. Wouldn't be possible in Britain. How they're going to police it, I don't know. They're banning it from every public place, including bush shelters. Would you? But how they're going to police that one? All bars, inside and out, because in the good old days you could smoke on the terrace.
Yeah,
The weather here is obviously a lot better than UK. Most people went outside and smoked on the terrace, and even football matches on the terraces. Yep, you can't smoke, and within a certain distance of schools. No, it's like the praying outside abortion clinics. You know, you've got 200 meters or whatever it is in England, but this is smoking. Again, how they're going to police that? And you think that's a tad excessive until you look at the deaths every year in Spain for smoking. 50,000 deaths.
mm, mm,
Now,
mm.
that's astonishingly high. There are a number of reasons. There are still what they call a stank on the high street shops where you just buy tobacco.
Oh, you still have those, do you?
Yes, and the occasional
Ah,
postage stamp. But they're a community centre. Smoking also here is very cheap compared with a lot of other countries. So it is a major problem. So I don't know whether they have gone too far.
well, no. I mean, it is. I used to work in a tobacco shop actually when I was and as a Saturday job. I quite enjoyed it. I quite like the smell of it.
It
But
smells gorgeous in a
it does smell gorgeous. Obviously, this old guy that came in that used to have that stuff that was like tar and it had a coating around it. And
yes,
like you chop it up in about,
yes.
and it was extraordinary. But the smell is
Oh, beautiful.
I like the smell. But yeah, because you don't have any of that anymore. The little tobacco shops where they sold pipes and
Yes.
I can't remember the last time I ever saw anyone smoking a pipe in England. I
Well, it
don't.
was probably me. I used to, when I was 13 and went to secondary school, went on a train and I was thought, I'm being cool. I'm going to get a pipe. So I got a pipe and a nice trilby to look the part. And I didn't really want the hard stuff and they wouldn't sell it to me anyway. But my parents had a sweetie shop that sold tobacco, so I could get it. But I thought, no, let's go for safety here. So I went to the nearest herbal shop and got some herbal tobacco from Holland. I thought that's going to be safer. I used to smoke that. Oh, I was ill. Not only did it send me dizzy,
It was probably cannabis.
oh, I went white. And when I got off that train, everybody's looking around. What's he walking like that for? So I very soon learned not to smoke anything.
No, but I think it's the most disgusting habit. My granddad used to smoke a lot. And, by the time they tap it out on the ashtray, scrape out the bowl of the thing. Oh, stuff it in again. Oh, it's the most disgusting habit. My father-in-law used to smoke as well, but you don't. My ex-husband used to, but you don't see anyone. I don't know where you'd buy a pipe anymore, quite honestly. But it is. I mean, it is awful. I mean, if God wanted you to smoke, he'd have put a chimney in your head, wouldn't he? I
Oh,
mean, it's just awful when you actually see what it does to your arteries. Oh dear, oh dear. No, it's absolutely awful. But my granny, and you don't see these anymore. My grandma used to smoke 60 plain senior service. You remember that they were in the red
they
packet.
were hardcore stuff.
She used to smoke 60 a day. And
Oh,
she also used to drink 2 bottles of neat whiskey a day, starting with
God,
breakfast in the morning.
she's 150, is she? And still
No, no,
alive.
she died at 84 years old, choking on an orange.
Oh, that's health food. You'd have thought she'd have learned.
But no, I mean, I was so pleased when we brought in the smoking ban in pubs because my kids, when they were at university and school, they worked in pubs, and oh, you could smell them. And when they walked in through the door, the smell on their coat, always having to wash their hair, wash their clothes. And I used to think before they brought the law in, I mean, how many cigarettes passively have my children actually smoked by working in that bar? And it's just wonderful not having that in pubs and theatres and things anymore, and cinemas. It's just so much better. It's a horrible habit. Horrible habit.
Yeah, I had a friend. Well, you probably remember Roy Castle, and he was very talented entertainer.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
During his last months, I had various conversations with Roy, and lovely guy. And he never smoked in his life, but he blew the trumpet, which
That's
needs
right.
a bit of volume. All right, it's all in the lips, but you still have to breathe.
Hmm.
He played in clubs.
That's right.
Passive smoking got him.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It did. I remember it.
Awful.
Awful. No, it's awful. Horrible, horrible habit. Having said that, I do. Having said that, I do like the smell when it's just first lit and someone first lights a cigarette.
Ah,
That
right. Yeah.
I quite like that smell. It's weird,
Well,
isn't
it's probably the matches you're smelling.
it? Yeah.
That's the other danger. We move on. Now, if we've scared you, fine, we'll really scare you now.
Mm-mm.
Because it's happening. We thought it would happen, but it's here. I'm being experimented on. AI theme very much in this. Actually, it's going to be a real blessing to those who need it. For those that are completely disabled, cannot move, cannot type, cannot speak, and there are quite a few people,
Yeah,
sadly.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And how do they express themselves? Well, AI has developed along the lines, but completely different in some senses, as the programs were developed about 20 odd years ago for speaking into your computer.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Now, we were part of the early experiments on this because we were, both my wife and I, run over and both injured badly. And we couldn't do anything really without one of these speaking programs. She had to do the major part of the timing, so they trained her, typing, so they trained her. And it was a program called Dragon, hence the title Dragon Queen, which I liberally used, got into trouble for it, but there you go. And she typed away at this. Oh, did we have some fun? The program was in its infancy, and you spoke sensible stuff into it. It came out with the most, at times, rude, outrageous statements that if you didn't check and read and sent it off to a client, you'd never see the client again.
Exactly.
But we did have some giggles because in early times, these programs did not work. How about this for advance? You go to Google Docs at the moment, and you go to voice type in, you get something that you've paid nothing for and that will transfer. Well, it's nearly about, well, we reckon about 98% correct. And you do have to do the odd correction because you've mispronounced a word or it's not understood. It's not within the computer's vocabulary. But nearly 100% correct. And it saves you if you want to do a long letter, I use it quite often because we're still in recovery from we're masters at having accidents and we're still in recovery. So it works, folks, if you want to either be lazy or you need to do a long letter and you can't type, then that's the way around it. Now, having said all that, the program that's being developed is going to allow people that are completely disabled in even to sensory disablement to communicate. So how does AI get in your brain and communicate that to a computer? This is science fiction. Actually, it's not, because what goes on inside of you when you are thinking is various things pass through your bones in your ears. And although you're thinking and concentrating on a simple sentence, there is some movement within the body. Now, I'm not explaining it very well, but there are certain parts of your body that pick up messages from the brain.
Yeah.
And AI can actually get through to those parts and see what you're thinking and put it down on your computer. And
Yeah, I think that's right actually because I've had that experience a couple of times. I was doing a training course last night for parents at this school online, and somebody asked a question about could they, I was saying about checking your router. You can check your router for what's actually coming through your broadband. So if you go to the back of your your router box, there's a website and a pass key there and all of that. And this mother asked me, could you block websites through that? And I actually said, you know what? I absolutely don't know. And as I was talking, I was also looking. And as I went to say about router box blocking websites, and it literally finished the sentence for me. And up came the answer. And I thought, wow, I mean, AI is, but did you see the other day they found, oh my golly, they unraveled some massive millions of pounds of fraud. So I think AI is extraordinary. It definitely is a very quick way of finding out information. And it does finish off your sentences. It is, I think, wow, that's clever. But I mean, when there was a thing the other day, I can't remember how many million pounds it was, but AI had unraveled millions of pounds worth of fraud. How does it do that for I don't know whether it was the working pensions or something it had used. And I know they use it in the policing. I mean, it massively reduces the time trying to look and find abusive images that normally three or four officers.
Particularly in photographs, it can.
It is incredible, but of course, as with everything else, there's always a downside. But I think it's becoming more and more accurate. Without
And guess who's behind this magic program that
Elon Musk.
Yes, very simply, for those who criticise.
He is a genius, isn't he? He's extraordinary. Really,
he knows how to go to market as well, which of course the Brits don't.
No,
why they rely on the Americans to do it for them, but certainly
but it is. But it's interesting. Like with the illnesses, people that can't speak and stuff like that, and there is something about cannabis if it's controlled, because this the condition that my little granddaughter's got. There's a 6-year-old boy that's got it as well that they know. And the mother found that the medication the little boy was on wasn't working. So she just took everything into her own hands. And she she has her own dealer. And he is now talking. He is recovering at an amazing rate. And I don't know why they don't like look at it more, because it's extremely beneficial for people that have got arthritis and pain and stuff. So I don't know how you go about it.
Well, I mean, it's the extract of the good part of the drug, but like the extract, the good part of the poppy.
Yes.
You don't go to cocaine
No.
to get yourself right, nor should you do it except under medical supervision with cannabis. Cannabis is, as we
it's terrible, but obviously, like everything else, it has got the good side that can help an awful lot of people, and maybe that needs to be sort of better looked at or investigated, because this little boy, I mean, against all odds, is like smashing it.
There you go. Let's go to dear old Duchess of York.
Oh, bless her.
And things keep coming out. The story goes on, and if the newspapers keep chewing away at it, you can believe that there's a lot more to come. And we all know that she was very stupid in what she did,
Oh,
and she held her hands up. But there's more to this story than meets the eye, because at the time where she didn't do anything, knowing the truth about Epstein, it was the time she was marketing her children's novel. And that was a bit naughty. I understand it from the commercial point of view, but no, certain things called morality
yeah,
come ahead of that sort of
exactly.
behavior. But it goes hand in hand. She's always been a loose cannon, bless her. I feel sorry for the two daughters.
Oh,
They've been
so do I.
dragged
Oh,
into this. And the other thing that happened, as we know, she borrowed £15,000. She was in Stum from the aforementioned criminal, and that led to a delay, which ultimately led to now, I believe it's 7 charities removing her from the ambassadorship. And sorry, we can't go along with that, quite right. But the other sinister thing coming out about this, of course, is the evil by Epstein, basically by saying, I know where you are. And before you decide to do anything, be in mind that I will kill you and your family reputation completely.
mm.
I'm able to do it.
Well, this is the trouble when you wrong foot a child abuser or an abuser, any abuser, when you wrong foot them, you're the wrong end of the shark. And when I was on GB News talking about it the other day, I mean, they did, because normally I can go on GB News, and that's what I'm known for. I can lose my shit over something that really is, needs to be challenged. But on this one, it was, oh, the palace will be listening. So I was quite contrite, and I said, the thing, what I said was, she would have been groomed by him. And when you are groomed, they hijack your mind, your common sense, your emotions, everything. They hijack it. And then when you cross them, they can be unbelievably nasty. They really can. And even I said with the guy that was the abuser of my own children, um, he could do the same. When anybody was on him, like suspicious, he'd suddenly turn. But there were people then, when he did say he was guilty and he went to jail in the end, there were still parents and teachers that absolutely didn't believe he was guilty, even though he said he was. And they continued going to see him in prison and all of that. So I said, you will get people that are so gullible, and maybe she's one of them, that just could not. All right, so he got convicted, but I can't accept that he was that person. I still know people like that. I am still considered the black bitch. For the black witch, if you like, for getting that man imprisoned. People just are still in denial about it. And she may have been like that. She may have been like that. And of course, but the charities they got no way out of this other than to get rid of her. And I said to them on GB News, I would have to do the same. Raising funds for any child charity, you wouldn't think it was that difficult, but it really is. And if you've got someone flaky who's a patron and someone is going to invest in your charity or donate money or whatever, they are going to do due diligence on the people who are representing you. And they dare not take that risk. They cannot be seen to have her in situ. They can't. I'd have to have got rid of her. You can't be tainted by it. And similarly, people that are high profile, if there's something wrong with the charity, they will pull out for the same reason, because it's all about, reputational damage, isn't it?
Interestingly enough, I actually was watching that program. Obviously, I didn't have much to do when you were being interviewed. I'm teasing. And at the end, you used a phrase there, you've reused it again. And it's a sort of semi-common phrase. I was considered to be the Black Witch. And unfortunately, Nana, the lady, was one of the presenters. And she obviously took exception to that phrase, and she immediately retorted. I don't know whether
I
you
didn't hear it.
you didn't
What did she
hear
say?
it. No, well, she said there are some good black witches, And I thought, oh, I didn't expect that from dear Nana. But,
Stupid.
when you get to that state and it's not quite entitlement, but you can see it touches a nerve because you are brought up with that way of thinking, oh, well, I'm black and I've got to be careful that
So would it
nobody
have
says
been
the
all right
wrong
if I'd
thing.
said white witch then?
Oh, yes, you wouldn't get pulled up with that.
I can't be doing with
Did
it.
you not
I can't.
notice that? There you go. You see, you've heard it first here on.
Yeah, I didn't hear because what they do is you go off air and you're still, if somebody's watching, it's still running. So they always have that like slight delay, don't they? That
Yeah,
you
they do.
can.
What's she
A
going to
friend of
say
mine was a
now? Turn her
lawyer.
off. Yes.
Yeah, a friend of mine was a lawyer, and he did this with Sky News. He spent his whole day, his stay in his like office cabin in his garden, and he would have a little button to think if this is going to be difficult for Sky News, he'd flick this button to make sure they weren't going to get, anything wrong. So you're always a few seconds, you've finished your interview, but Roger will be watching it in the other room, and it's still going on in the other
No,
room.
there is a time limit. It's normally
Yeah,
eight.
I didn't hear her say that. I didn't hear her say that. But yes, I had to be careful. But I mean, stupid of her to do this. Stupid. But I mean, she didn't think. She didn't think
No,
because
it's
it's
live
more.
television, so there you are. Give it the
But
benefit.
I feel very sorry for the daughters because there was something I read as well that was actually like implying that the daughters, and I did actually say that, I feel sorry for Eugene, but this has got nothing to do with Beatrice and Eugenie. Yeah, some people are sort of saying, oh, like, are they tainted with the same brush or whatever? But it is unfortunate, but it's not surprising. Um, if you are in the public eye and you are at that level on a public face, you have to be very, very careful what you do. And the charities would have had no other choice other than to get rid of her. You can't have that association.
Well,
There
I'm
it is.
I'm looking forward to the book that's bound to come out, or the Netflix series about uh, Andrew and Sarah. I
Oh,
think that would be more interesting than Harry and Meg.
yeah, I actually think they deserve each other, actually. I think they're as bad as each other.
There you go. We move quickly on to the kebab shop in Kent. 16-year-old going in there. Oh, I'm a bit lost. Can you tell me which way to? Finished up being ganged, raped, and what is going on in our country now? Kebab shop, a bit notorious in many ways, to be honest. But there are people in our country with different standards than we have. And
Yeah,
that can't be denied. And when, oh, well, you can't put everybody in the same bag, progressives, lefties. No, you can't. Well, I tell you what, if you look at the true figures
yeah,
and see how many are, it's completely out of relationship and ratio.
yeah.
I'm sorry, if you let everybody into the country, you get what you deserve.
Well, you don't know their backgrounds. I mean, I can understand why the people in Epping were so furious. I can absolutely understand it. You're letting in random people who come from countries that are disrespectful and have like Wild West morals, if you like. And we also know that when those people do these terrible dastardly deeds to our girls and our kids over here, that then they're going to get off with a 12-month sentence. They're not going to be treated like, like the white people are. And of course, we have got some real creeps that are white people. Absolutely, we have. And we don't need any more then, do we?
No, and I'll tell you what, that moves us on to something that keeps coming back, and it's the police, and they're taking advantage of their uniform power, and they're involved in quite a lot of rape cases in the back of police cars.
Yes.
And Devon and Cornwall police have got hold of some of these miscreants, and they face charges now. But 6 weeks ago, there was a big problem in Rotherham, but it happened 15, 20 years ago, and is still going on.
It is. It is
Police,
still going on.
and that is all race. So Devon and Cornwall, it was white, as I understand. In Rotherham, of course, it was the Pakistani community again.
But
Pakistani
also
police.
white officers raping the girls in the
Yes,
back of the taxis,
absolutely.
in the back of their police cars, and going on while we're on that subject, what it's slightly diverse off that, but on the other hand, it's not. Andy Burnham, who's now sort of trying to get how he's going to do this, I've got no idea because he's not even an MP. But he was mayor of and still is mayor of Manchester. All this while the Rochdale and rape gangs were going on and Greater Manchester Police were not dealing with it. So where has he been during that time? Has he been in denial as well? Is he as bad as?
Well, I'm sorry, it's like all the Labour councils, they deliberately keep it dark
Yeah.
because they want the Muslim vote.
Well, I put it out on X this morning that, why is everybody sort of applauding him, Andy Burnham? Because for years, I mean, as I have said before on TV, he's been for years, he has been up there knowing what's going on and knowing that, I think, wasn't it Maggie Oliver that came through the Manchester Constabulary where she was actually got.
Well, I was about to mention Maggie. What a stalwart. She was part
Absolutely.
of the greater Manchester area, Rochdale,
Exactly. But I
and
mean,
she
Andy
goes at
Burnham,
it and she's head above the parapet again this week.
yes.
She said, I've said this so many times, but we have got a terrible problem. It goes on and on and on, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to rest. Well done, her.
Well, she's a bit like me. I mean, you're like a lone wolf barking at the moon. You really are. And if you every time you put your head above the parapet, you put yourself at risk. Because there's people out there, even more so than ever before, that don't really want to hear it. But Andy Burnham, that was on his watch. Why do people? Oh, he's doing a great job in Manchester. Is he? In Rochdale, did he? He knew that was going on. And the Greater Manchester Police should hang their heads in shame about what was going on. And he's been Manchester mayor for what, 25, 30 odd years, hasn't he? He knew it was going on. And I don't understand why he's getting so many accolades for being such a wonderful person. And I think I heard today that if he does get in, he wants 50p tax in every pound or something.
Yes, don't they all? Listen, we've mentioned Nigel, but Farage, we've not gone into detail, but something that happened last week, which we must bring up again. He's the only one that's really gone and got hold of the immigration problem. He clearly, and these are his words, blow up the system completely, the present system. And he's going to do it by the following method. Number one, he's going to abolish straight away, if he gets in power, indefinite right to remain. And that's true. Now, look, a lot of this we've got in Spain and other countries that are not affected in the same way as Britain is. It's gone far worse in Britain than anywhere else in Europe. And if you get a residence permit here, it's renewed every 5 years if you're lucky. And there's no indefinite right to stay. And what you have to get in this country and provide everything from police checks to have you got enough money in the bank, send us your bank account, is far more stringent than Britain. So he wants to do something that most of Europe do, and it's right. Remove this indefinite. Of course, the students have taken advantage of this. Then their families come in. Oh, I've been here for 3 years of my university course, and therefore I want permanent residency. No. Number two, benefits for foreigners, basically, or immigrants, both legal and illegal. No, for at least 5 years. That's what we've got in Spain. There's no benefits. No wonder they all want to go to Britain.
That's it. I mean, it's like a sweetie shop, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's absolutely right. And the biggest deterrent is all Shabana, whatever her name is, has got to do is stop those handouts. Just stop the hand. Don't give them a phone. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't put them in four-star hotels. It's bonkers. And then that's what is called, of course they're going to go, this is the best deal ever in the world. Let's get on a boat and go.
No wonder there's a queue. Yes, absolutely. Next, he says as a permanent residency thing, you've got to also mention that when somebody has finished their course, they don't stay in the country, finished at university, or their friends and family. You've got to reach a settlement and keep reapplying. Do we need you? Now, what's behind that? Well, it's always been said the NHS would collapse if you didn't let immigrants in. That is an outright lie from the left. Somebody's published figures again this last week. How many doctors have we got that are foreign doctors that are coming in our country to work? It's less than 2% a year. That's not going to collapse the NHS. Far more important things are going to collapse the NHS. Oh, we've got no carers. Well, get your carers off their couches who might be indigenous white Brits who, again, are milking the benefit gravy train, just like the foreigners. We're not stupid. We'll sit on our couch and watch Netflix. Get them off their couches. There'll be no problem with care. If you can't get a job, then if it's your fault, your benefits will go to zero. So mention that. He's also mentioned 3.8 million new immigrants, legal and illegal, in the last 4 years. You cannot absorb nearly 4 million people that are not of our values, that are not bringing anything in except toil and trouble, with some exceptions. So I think he's got it right. And he reckons over the course of a lifetime of an immigrant, that will save 234 billion.
Yeah.
What's your black hole, Chancellor of the Exchequer? Well, that covers it 10 times.
Well, of course it does. I mean, it just makes common sense. I mean, but common sense isn't common, is it? It is obvious they want to turn this into a mid-brown country. That's what I would say. That's all it is. They want, and it's obvious because they're not doing what is so patently obvious to everybody else. There are so many ways you could stop this. It's not that difficult. It really isn't. And and Donald Trump is right. I just think it's extraordinary that how he was on his best behavior when he came here for the procession and all of that. And the moment he got on his plane and he's back home, I mean, he's really letting rip. And I don't blame him because he's right. Someone has got to say it. Somebody has got to say it. And I thought, well, you nailed that one, buddy. You really did. Good for you. But I mean, it is. I mean, and what has this Shabana done so far? She's supposed to be a hard nut, but she hasn't done anything. She hasn't done anything. She's just said stuff which makes her look hard nosed, but she hasn't done anything. It's just empty words. It's a load of hot air. Let's see what she does.
Well,
If
let's
she does
go.
anything.
Let's stay in the real world before we go. We've got one last item to chat about, and that's cats. We're going to discuss before we go because it's feline week in some form or another at the moment. The cat aficionados and the dog aficionados are clawing at each other's throats. Which is the better beast? Well, man's best friend, the dog. Apparently, we've been training dogs either officially or unofficially for about 10,000 years. And it's not surprised that we love them and they love us. And you can see it. They're great beasts and you can get a real bond.
Yeah.
Tragically often broken, and it's a death in the family, literally, for a lot of people.
Well, it is because dogs have an amygdala. They have an emotional system in their brain, like we have. That's why they do connect with us. And horses are the same. They also have an amygdala. That's why they are so good when you do riding for the disabled. The horses are in tune with the person that's sat on their back. And I, I love all animals. I just don't want all animals. But cats, I think, feel very entitled. Everything is on their terms, everything. Oh, I don't like this, I don't want to eat that, blah, blah, blah. You can pick me up if I want it. Whereas a dog is lolloping around like eating crumbs off the floor, wants to sit on your lap when it's the size of a pony. It's just so, they are just so lovely. But did you know now that with horses, did you see the rural communities over here now have said you can no longer pat horses and donkeys? Did you see that?
Yes,
It's
yes.
against the law. Pardon? What?
Whose law?
And who's going to police that one? I mean, it's ridiculous. Doing that is just a lovely thing to do with your children, to rub the muzzle of a horse. I'm not saying feed them like in the New Forest or anything. I mean, yeah, that is, but but the New Forest ponies don't think twice about going into your tent and ransacking your food. So that's. But I mean, no, dogs. I love dogs. I do like all animals, but I don't like the fact that cats bring in live prey. I would not want to be in bed and find a vole or a mouse running around my bedroom.
Well, it's a treat for the owner when
Yeah,
they
I
do.
would guess. Yeah, it's supposed to be you're honoured.
Yes,
No thanks. Not for
well,
me.
I tell you the difference, according to those that know. A cat is a psychopathic killing machine. And I think it sums it up very well. I'll tell you why. Cats really started, well, again, thousands of years ago, about 5,000 years ago, being domesticated, if that's possible, in Egypt, because they were found to be great for getting rid of rats,
Oh yeah, that's
snakes,
true.
cockroaches, you name it, they got rid of them. And but you can't sort of befriend a killing machine, they reckon. And you hear all sorts of stories, but certainly they are so completely different. I was reading an article this very morning, actually, from somebody that hated cats. He would never have another one because of this distancing. It's not like my dog.
No.
Can't get to know my cat. And then his wife brought in two absolute kittens straight from their mother, and they had to. He felt obliged to look after them and save their lives. And the cats became mum and dad. And their relationship was completely different because the cats regarded them as mum and dad
Oh,
and would do things that his previous cat would never do. And they fell in love with each other and it worked out. So, unless you get a cat, I suppose, from being that tiny, which you can't really, then you've always got to accept that the relationship will be different from a dog.
I think you do need to get them from as a kitten. I think that's the point because we had cats and when I was growing up and we were like a mini zoo our house because I was such a fan of animals. We had hamsters, we had white mice, we had rabbits, we had guinea pigs, we had cats, we had a parrot. I was always, can we have that? Can we buy one of them? Can we have one of those, please? And but the cats were normally rescued cats, and they were, although they were stunning, we had the most beautiful tortoiseshell cat. She was stunning, and the colours were unbelievable. Beautiful, beautiful cat that had been found abandoned. So my mum took her in. But I think you have to have them as kittens, I think. I mean, you do get house cats, don't you? They never go out. I no, thank you. I don't want poo in a litter tray, thank you. It's just not, not for me. I know some people absolutely love them, and some of their cats are very, very cute. But for me, I'd rather have a dog or a small. I mean, crikey, I mean, I'd rather have a dog the size of a cat than a cat.
Well, there you go. Listen, they scratch you with cats. That's why I
Yeah, yeah,
object.
no, I know they're not. No, that's right. But it is what they bring in, and my dad used to get really upset when he used to see the cat sort of hiding under the lavender or something, and they'd be watching the birds, and then they'd pounce, and he would be like knocking on the window, and my mum would always say, "For goodness sake, that's what cats do. Stop being." And it used to really upset him. And then they leave them half dead, and they torment them. It's horrible. Having said that, I do like the big cats. I do love tigers. I think tigers are unbelievable, stunning creatures,
They've
absolutely
got big
gorgeous.
claws.
I know, and big teeth, but their markings, I just think they're
Yeah,
just
they're beautiful animals.
beautiful, beautiful. And the lionesses and the lions, so the big cats I think are lovely, but I don't think I'd have a pet lion.
No, not this week anyway. Well, that's it. We've done, and we finished on a high note. Well, we're not if you're a cat lover, but no, they have their part, as do all animals. Take care of
It'd be
your.
an awful world without animals.
It
In
will.
fact,
So
I think quite frankly, a lot of new parents should watch some animals looking after their young, and they'd learn a lot.
take care of your pet snake, and you can call it Starmer. You probably
Please don't.
and at that note, we should.
Somebody will, and some idiot will. You wait and see.
We'll
But
see
probably not call them a black witch.
Oh dear, we're in trouble again. We'll see you next week.
Bye bye. Have a good weekend.